Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of the Learn With Me series, Season 2. On the Learn With Me series, we bring on amazing young individuals who are doing well across different sectors, where we highlight what they are doing, share about their journey. And on today's episode, I have a friend of mine, Luqman Lawal. Hello, Luqman Lawal.
Hi, favorites. Thank you for having me.
Yes, Luqman, it's a big honor having you on the very first episode of this show. Yes. Look, man, I know we served for a short period, right? So I think I was in batch C and then you came in later on around 2023. Um, During that journey, I could tell that this guy is different, right? Right, in terms of like discipline. I remember when you spoke on like not drinking Coke and we were just buying Coke almost literally every day. I was like, yes, so look, man, I would before we get started, I would like to start with like you introducing yourself, right? I may not do enough justice, right, to
Uh,
introducing you.
okay, so again, I'm Luqman. I'm Luqman Lawal, but people do call me Luqman. Some people call me Loluk, actually. Quite a lot of people, including my parents. So I presently am doing my master's degree at the American University of Beirut through the scholarship of the MasterCard Foundation. I started my program in 2024, immediately after my service. Yeah, I actually served together with you, as you mentioned earlier, quite a short period, but then I feel like, as you said, you see something in me. I actually also see something in you, as well. Interesting, and also because I feel like there are things that we shared, like hearing your story about your undergrad and co. I did my undergrad in Nigeria at the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. I studied nutrition and dietetics. I still major in nutrition right now. I'm in my second year currently doing my thesis. Also, by the side, I think I kind of like leadership role, really. Actually, before I kind of migrate from the municipal politics to like mainstream politics in my state. So, 2023 governorship election in my state, I was like actively involved with the campaigning and everything like that. In a way, short thing about me. I think, yeah, I think that is it.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful, look, man. You've essentially gone through almost everything that we want to like discuss on today. Right. So one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation with you was because of you moved from at least we sat together. I mean I could tell that this guy he knows more about like scholarship stuff. Like there were times where you and Victor, I had Victor on this show in season 1 last year, right? Where you guys will be talking about scholarship and all of those stuff. And me, I knew nothing about any of those words, right? Because I think I said I wanted to like work first before then I'll go for my masters, right? So and by God's grace I'll be going for my masters this year. I'm even applying to AUB too. So
Uh,
maybe I would get some tips from you during the show.
yeah.
Right. So yeah, so one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation with you was to like discuss on that transition, right? And I was going through your post on LinkedIn and I saw a post that you posted, I think 2 years ago, where you had like a 4.41 I
Yeah.
think the second semester at FUNAB, right? Federal University of Agriculture. And you were like, this is not what I wanted, right? That you wanted like a first class and you even had 5.0 twice almost, right? So the first question I would like to ask, well, this is the second question. I would like to ask on like, oh, what made you decide on that discipline? Like what brought you up to become determined, like this is what I want and these are the sacrifices I would pay, right? Because I know getting like a first class, you have to pay a lot of sacrifices. So I want
Yeah.
you to walk us through that journey of like what even made you realize that I want to be on a first class and Why and how did you go about achieving that?
Okay, then so I think it's I'll say people in the broader perspective, people in the sense that people I come across along my journey and also my parents as well, particularly my father. So it all began with the fact that I do hear from my dad that, oh, I want you guys to be serious with your education. He's very pro education, does not have the level of education I do have right now, but it's actually pro education. And in a way, from the way he talked to me when I was growing up, I realized that even though he never said it directly, but maybe I think that he felt that assuming he had the opportunity to have more education, it will be better than where he is. So with the little we we had there and we still have, he was able to make sure that education is priority. So then well, actually, then a bit in a way, I felt like I was a bit serious. But after my primary school, I transitioned to a public secondary school, which is like a ghetto, proper ghetto. So they are to say to people now that you really don't see a lot of motivation. Also, depending on the public school, actually, not the kind of federal public school, just the one that where these your peers broken bottles and all those sort of things. So then I actually believe I'm good. You understand? But I think and I felt like I just thought I'm good. I'm not really good. So I saw my jam score. It was not really encouraging. I think I got less than 200. Then I had to go to the Polytechnic. After getting into the Polytechnic, that is where the phrase people started coming in. I met set of imagine you thinking you're like top 10 where you're coming from, and you get
Yeah,
some see that people are putting effort. You see that you're putting you are just there because maybe the people around you are not really up there. You understand?
yeah.
But where you see people really doing a lot for them to get to where they are. So in a way that kind of motivated me. I remember then during my diploma, my first GP was like the benchmark for distinction, which was 3.5 then. That was actually what I wrote the first time. So I was like, oh, I need to get to that top because I get to start knowing that if you are coming from certain background, education is still like one of the few ways for you to like be up there, to be able to sit where certain people are. So I started that. So then the motivation then was like, I want to go to the university. I have a poor JAMB result. The only way for me right now, I'm not ready to write another JAMB. The only way for me right now is to have a very good grade so that I can transfer to university. So that was actually how it started. Then I think I graduated with at a point I had like 3.8 something during my diploma.
Okay.
3.67. Then I transferred to FUNAB. I got a direct entry admission to 200 level. So when I got to FUNAB as well, the motivation was I want to go to first class. But my first GPA rather was 4.51, no 4.41, and I need 4.0 for first class. I was like, hey, I remember I went to the notice board, checked the results. I saw few people on first class. I was sad in a way because I felt like I actually know what I want. And also, I also think that will also kind of catalyze my growth in life. Started kind of reading a lot. You will need to sacrifice a lot of things. Let me just say, I think I don't have option than to read actually, as well. It's also a kind of motivation. Then at the end of the day, I graduated with 4.73, if I could remember right. Yeah. So I remember when I wrote the post on LinkedIn, the reason why I was kind of reflecting was that after seeing my first grade, I was like, I know what I wanted, and this is not what I wanted. So then I put in preparation. I know when I see podcasts or something, I see people talking about how COVID here was very um, tragic, but was also like a very it's a turning point for them. It was also a turning point for me because we moved virtual before we came back online, and because we there are little activities around the world. Then I was able to. I would even say it was like the first time in my academic life that I was ready like weeks before. So literally exam week, student don't sleep. I slept during that semester and I had a perfect CGPA. So it was
Wow.
like before exam came, I was like already prepared for the exam. Then I did my internship. I had another perfect CGPA, and I ended with 4.73, which I felt like it's like one of the key reasons. So another part of it where I mentioned people was that in my 300 level, I remember one of my colleague in class, then I used to call him Brother Joy. He's like, he's really like more older than us in the class,
Okay.
hardworking person, very disciplined. So then he used to share with me. There was a time I was doing my project. I went to his hostel. He was talking to me about his former roommates. How's the guy moved to, I think, Germany or one of the European countries under the Erasmus Mundus scholarship. So he was giving me that he was involved in the application process of a lot of his friends that they are now outside the country. In a way, that kind of prepare me in my mind that, oh, okay, there are people without anything that they travel at. You understand? Then I moved to, I started seeing people get scholarship. I saw people. I remember one of my mentor now, Dr. Olumuyiwa Balajobi. I saw his post that maybe he had just like 30,000 naira with him when he was traveling out of Nigeria. I was like, so this is possible. So started preparing from like 300 level just to begin the process with. Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Right. So there are, I think, two key things that you mentioned. One was people, right? Your association with like the right set of people, right? Better than knowledge that, oh, you could even do this, you could do that. Interesting. That's interesting. And like from my own experience, I just felt that first class was a good grade to get.
It's the
maybe maybe that's why I did not aim so high. I did like the barest minimum and I came out with 4.5 on the dot, right? So I I I really like what you mentioned that you noticed it early, right? And there was a push. I believe you also said from your parents also, your father also inspired you, right? So there was a push and then you also motivated yourself and you knew what you wanted and you worked towards it and by God's grace you achieved what you wanted. So that's a wonderful journey. Thank you for sharing that. All right. So the next question I want to ask is on your choice of course, right?
okay.
Yeah. So, um, before NYC, I don't think I've interacted with anyone that did anything nutrition and I think your BSc was in nutrition and dietetics. Now you are
Yeah.
currently studying nutrition and food science, right? So before then, I had not seen anyone, or maybe because of the people I was associating with. I did not know anyone basically, right? I guess, and
Yeah.
also one thing NYC taught me was how limited my thinking was, right? All I knew was like computer, and even computer self, it was one narrow aspect. So, so that's another reason for this show, right? So I want to have conversations with people across different fields, right? And also with the hope of learning, and also with the hope of my audience also learning from them also, right? So I want you to talk about your course. Why did you choose your course? Is it that they gave it to you, or it was something that you were really passionate about and then you also went for? Yeah.
Okay. So let me say the course chose me. So then when I was applying for my national diploma, then because I actually wanted to study chemistry and I had little knowledge
But
about
you wanted to study what?
chemistry.
Okay.
So I had little knowledge of nutrition then. I only know about food and nutrition in secondary school, which I was not taking. It's either you go for agricultural science or you opt for food and nutrition. I went for agricultural science, even in my WAEC as well. But when I applied for my national diploma, I actually don't know there is anything like nutrition and dietetics. I applied for science laboratory technology with the hope that the experience I get from that, I want something like related to medical course that then I'll go into my biochemistry later on when because I already know that I actually want to cross to the university. So then when the admission list came out, I saw nutrition and dietetics. I was like, what is this? What is this? I once said 30. And then I remember SL Science Laboratory Technology had a lot of candidates and even they admitted a lot of students. So when the list came out, because I think my name came out with the first list or something, they migrated about 10 of us out of the Science Laboratory Technology to nutrition and dietetics. Then I went online to search on it. I was like, oh, well, I just want to do this to go to university. When I get to university, I'll select the right choice. You understand? The dates. But again, people is like a very big part of everybody's life again. So one of the courses I took was, I think, clinical nutrition or metabolism, something like that. It was taught by one of the lecturers, then Mr. Anoka Kesley. In fact, funny enough, I think around November or December, I I saw his message on Facebook. We communicated, we chatted a bit. So the man is like the way he taught the course, you feel like you are doing like medicine, like pure medicine, you understand? It took some biology, the way you break down the interaction between food and the body. He explained like you feel interested, you want to you feel appreciated that okay, this is not just about me studying, because then when people even see you in school, they say, oh, you people that are cooking, you understand? That it is more than that. It is about how your food contributes to the body, how you can use your food as a therapy, stuff like that. So he explained medical terms. The man got interested in physiology. I started reading physiology textbook. He explained so well. That is actually how I began to love nutrition. Then from my experience, then I went for my industrial training. Then remember we do COS. So or for diploma, it's a 6 month, I guess, or 4 month, no, 4 month rather. So I did it at the University College Hospital, Ibadan, UCH. Again, it was an eye opener for me. I was surprised that really people are really using like food to say, okay, you have diabetes, eat this, don't eat this. Or people are even using food to do stuff like this. So I was like, wow, this is something cool. So since then, I never thought about doing any other course apart from nutrition. So when I was applying for my direct entry, I remember I applied to University of Ibadan and FUNAB. Then I put in for nutrition in both. I did not even think twice that okay, maybe let me go to another. I was like, this is what I actually wanted. So yeah, let me go into nutrition. I went into it, still into it right now, and it's very interesting to me. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So they gave you the course and then somehow you fell in love with it. Wow. That's interesting. That's interesting. That's interesting. Like it's I from what you said, right? It shows how people again plays a
Yeah.
crucial role in
Yes.
helping you to see what you are not seeing, right?
Yes.
Because imagine if that lecturer was not there, he had
Yeah.
not explained the way he explained, he had not opened up things to you, right? You probably would have not fallen in love with the course and you would have done something else. So that's interesting, right? And it shows that I believe in Nigeria now there are countless of students, especially in public schools and all, that are giving courses that they did not want.
I feel like very big percentage of people were given courses that they actually did. And definitely we have a lot of applicants usually. So most times you are qualified. At times you are qualified not up to what the particular department you want to go into. They just feel like, okay, you're okay, you're also okay for this. It's because you're actually qualified for it. For example, if you're applying for FUNAP, for example, and you are like qualified, but the competition is very high for the particular course you are going to. Even in nutrition, and nutrition is now very competitive in FUNAP. People apply for nutrition. It gets maybe even 230, 200 and above. But the competition, but you still have people that score way better than you and apply for the same course. So they will just be like, okay, let's give the person a closely related course, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. but I feel it's still a big issue, right? But like you said, there's a need for very good teachers. We need teachers that care, right?
Yeah,
If that your teacher did not care enough to teach you guys properly, that made you even like the course, I doubt you would be where you are today.
or something else, definitely. Yeah. And you,
Yeah,
like you mentioned earlier, I actually also believe it's not something good in the real sense of it that you want to do something, you are given something else. It's not good. But I think at the end of the day, the foundation for that is actually from the secondary school. Now, definitely we have some secondary school that are very good. But if you come from some certain background, less privileged background, let's say for someone like me, for example, you never experience someone counseling you about career. So you just most times opt for the popular courses that you know about chemistry, accounting, maybe accounting, business administration,
mass
medicine.
comm.
God bless you. Medicine and surgery, mass comm, computer science, a bit popular as well. You just go for the popular one. But when you now get outside, you see some people talking about maybe architecture or some courses, food science. You'll be like, what is this? You really don't know about it. You already know where. I feel like things are different right now because of the internet as well. Students are not really someone can be watching this now. They heard about nutrition and they search about it. You understand? So there are different. I feel like it's because of that. Then it's very limiting. You just apply for the major biochemistry, microbiology. Those are what you are going for. You literally don't know that maybe, for example, in FUNAB, there's something called maybe seed and something that you are doing. You are specializing in seed or plants, plant physiology. It's a course. Animal science. It's a course. But everybody wants to go to like biochemistry, pharmacy, and medicine.
Yeah, true. Right. So what is what is that one thing that you find interesting in the course you are currently studying, nutrition and food science? Right. So what is that one thing that you find interesting that is also maybe you find also lacking in Nigeria, right? That you've seen across this your master's degree that you think that you could like improve. So I want you to like walk us through the cost, right? What does it entail, right?
Uh,
Like the way the lecturer made you fall in love with the course, maybe you could do justice to that for anyone watching to maybe fall in love with nutrition and food science.
okay, so I think the part where okay, so I have a particular part that I'm kind of interested in. I'm very passionate about non-communicable disease, particularly diabetes and cancer. But then generally nutrition is very broad. You have the community part, you have the public health part of it, you have the molecular part of it where they do like the research of maybe what is going on within the body, how it's affected. That is like my kind of interest right now. So it's really about seeing that food in a way it's like we all eat food every day, but understanding the science behind it that the constituents of our food have direct relationship with our body, you understand? So that what you eat determines what your body eat. And also at the other side of it is that your body also determines how you utilize the food. So it is the no, studying nutrition is that science of knowing that, for example, myself and you, for example, now we can be consuming the same diet and we're having different results. That is because we have different gene, different body entirely. So now what nutrition does is that it tells you beyond the fact that, okay, when you consume rice, this is the nutrient you're getting from it. What is the use? How are those nutrients interacting with your cells? How is your cells utilizing this nutrient? At the other side of it, during my undergrad, for example, is the dietetics. Dietetics is now implementing that science, that knowledge into therapy, into like human. Now to say, for example, when someone is having this particular condition or illness, what particular food can we use maybe to manage? So at times, nutrition is not really about treatment at times. Most times it's about management, how to manage to prevent that this case, for example, in terms of cancer, for example, you want to manage it. You don't want the person to transition into a later stage. You want to manage that person at times, you want to even prevent that thing from happening. That is why you see, maybe for example, now a lot of people like what I'm saying about when you had me, then I was saying I stopped taking soda drink. It's not because I identify anything at that particular time. It was just because I'm just trying to say, okay, in a way, I want to prevent, not that we can prevent there are a lot of things that cause disease to human being. That is another thing you also like about nutrition. You get to to study the body, how the body utilizes the nutrient, and that is one aspect of it, like I mentioned. The other aspect also is like the public health part of it. How do you communicate nutrition information to people for them? Because at the end of the day, it's a behavior, it's what they do every day. Behavior is one of the hardest things in life to change. Even for me that I tell you I'm doing something, there are some things that when you see me do it, you will tell me that are you not a nutritionist? So behavior is very hard. That's that. So don't find this kind confusing or strange when you see someone like they say nutritionist, you see what they are eating, like it's very difficult at times to even practice what you are teaching. In public health aspects of it, you want to understand the behavior of the public. How do people behave? What is the theory behind their behavior? How do you motivate them to do this? How do you communicate in the population? Let's say in the context of Nigeria, for example, now we will say, okay, because of the food inflation that happened recently in Nigeria, this is the effect that we know that it can have on their nutrition because definitely people can't afford food. So those are part of the interesting parts of what nutritionists do. It's one of the elective courses I even took, food security and nutrition security. You want to see that there are different things that affect the food that you eat. The culture affect the food you eat. The economic situation in our country affect the food you eat. The employment of the household affect the food you eat. The education level of them, it affects the food you eat. Yeah. It's everything. It's like studying. So for people watching this, for example, nutrition is more than when you say people are just cooking. No. In fact, cooking is the one of the least. I'm sure maybe for the past 2 or 3 years now, I've not even done anything cooking relating to my course. Understand biology, how does the body operate, and a bit of anatomy. You want to know the structure of the body. You are doing public policy. You are doing sociology because you are interacting with people. You must know the motivation and you understand the science of the social environment. You are doing psychology. You are doing biochemistry because you also want to understand the constituents of that food as well. So you are doing microbiology because microorganism can interact with your food as well. So you are just in around to understand what is going on. So you develop policy, you you want to study communication as well. Okay, yeah, it's something I've also been involved in before because, for example, you have the perfect kind of food that you want people to eat. How do you communicate it with people? So nowadays, there is a different way for you to communicate with Gen Z, for example, and the adults. I can't say because, let's say, for example, now I know that this particular food can cause people to have this particular disease. And I tell them, hey, this food is bad, stop eating it. They will not. It's an habit. You understand? So you need to understand the science behind communication as well to know the right way to communicate uh to people. So yeah, it's really a broad area. But right now, like I mentioned, I'm really interested in non-communicable disease. Non-communicable disease is just like disease that cannot be transmittable. They are not infections. Yeah, so particularly my interest lies around diabetes and cancer. It's one of like condition that almost everybody knows someone affected with it. But now I'm more focused in the molecular part of it. Like I want to see at the molecular level, how does our food affect our body? So at the molecular level, I'm talking about the cells. I'm doing like I want to do laboratory study to understand all these things that then we can now translate them like to humans as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a very profound overview of everything nutrition and food science. That's interesting, right? I love the fact that you mentioned that it goes just beyond our food, right? It goes like you look at human psychology, you look at even biochemistry, you look at different sectors, right? That gives you a better overview of um what it takes for us to live in a is there any word like nutritious way?
No, it's to live an healthy way. Yeah.
Okay. Live and
Make
healthy.
make sure no matter how much we spend in life, we are not spending it in disease or illness. We are sound and
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing that. Yes. Okay. So now let's transition to MasterCard scholar. You're a MasterCard Foundation scholar, right?
Yeah.
And you mentioned you got that after immediately after NYC, right?
Yes.
So I would, and I know you mentioned that since 300 level, you've been like working towards getting more knowledge about scholarship and all of that, right? So I
Yeah.
want you to walk us through like um the MasterCard Foundation like scholarship, like how did you apply at I believe you're at American University of Beirut, right? So
Yes.
like did you apply at other places? What happened that and how was the application process like, right, for anybody? Because I know they are currently opened for application, right? So anyone that wants to apply, what would you advise? What were the things that you did that made you stand out?
Okay. So, like I mentioned, just a brief recap again. Something. So, the first thing, just the way I did it, was for you to surround yourself with the kind of information that the kind of things you want to be like. Let me put it that way. So for every message, when that is what I tell them. When people tell me that, oh, I want to learn about scholarship, I say it's a very hard process actually, but it becomes simple the more you know about it. So I feel like it's a bit easier for me because I started like from 300 level. Not like I applied for anything. I did not apply for anything in 300 level or 400 level. No, I did not. I started application during my youth service. But what I did then was like I was consuming information around scholarship, not like just MasterCard Foundation. In fact, I got to know about MasterCard Foundation in my 400 level or after graduating from school. I was just learning how to apply for school. How does people get scholarship? What do you need to get scholarship? What document do you need? How do you write all those things? How do you write your SOP, recommendation letter? Those are what I was like consuming, the information I was consuming. Then after that, I applied. I did not apply for just American University of Beirut. I applied for maybe 4 to 5 schools. I got rejection in everything. I applied for uh, University of Edinburgh in United Kingdom. MasterCard Foundation. I applied for McGill University, also MasterCard. I remember I applied for a school as well. That one, it's very special for me. I can never forget. I applied for biological sciences for a doctoral degree, actually. So again, those are something I said about information. With the information I had there, I was not even really looking towards to MasterCard Foundation, honestly. I was hoping to get an admission into a school, especially in the United States, for a direct PhD, that I just go into PhD for my bachelor's for a 5 years program. That was actually, I never expect that I will do a master's before maybe thinking of a PhD. You understand me? Yeah. So because of the information I had there. So this school I was talking about, I forget about the school. It's a US school. I remember clearly because they gave me the rejection on April 24 or something. That day, and so I was in Abeokuta for my GRE. Yeah, that was the day for my GRE exam. I woke up that morning to go to the bathroom to use the toilet before I took my data. I started going to the test center. I just said, let me refresh my email. I saw the rejection email. I just closed it back that you people will not ruin my day. I have an exam to. So yeah. But about MasterCard Foundation is very good scholarship, one of the most prestigious scholarship in the world. I've heard about it. I'm experiencing it now, and I know people also like into it as well. It like shows you different thing about the world. You get to meet. Okay, I think one of the two important things I get from the scholarship, there are two. I've talked to this about people. One of it, that when I tell my friend, she was like, "Oh, this is very bright." I said, "They give me the opportunity to afford to be able to dream. That's the first thing. I can afford to dream now. Not like I don't dream before, but my dream nowadays, I'm afraid of my dream. You understand? I'm afraid
Yeah.
of the kind of determination and seriousness to achieve this kind of dream that I have. I can afford to dream now. The second thing is you get to meet people again. You meet people that you see someone. maybe your age group or even lesser than you, and you see what they've done in their life. Wait, what am I doing? You understand? Not even
Yeah.
not directly their achievements, like the contribution they've made in life, people the impact they've made in life, the initiative they've taken in life. You get to see those things. So, like for example, last year in October, I attended a conference in Kenya. I was surprised. I saw youth doing amazing in Africa. I saw people. I get to see people that even have it's more worse than I had, you understand? And they are doing extremely very, very well for themselves and their immediate community as well. So you get to see a lot of potentials, particularly concentrated in Africa because of the scholarship. Because okay, most of the time they target the Africans, so you get to see Africans youth, even with the limited resources. You see what they are doing. You are like, wow, this is very very good. So I think that is one thing about MasterCard Foundation. I have a friend that just started as a scholar as well at UBC. He's talking. He was like, "Wow, it's the same experience everywhere, honestly, and also in a way, just a fun part of it. The idea that it's like okay, it's like let me say the third thing as well about Mastercard Foundation. The third one was like the resources available for you, like you they promote agency, and at the same time, there are people that look after you think about you, you understand? So for example, I have the opportunity to meet career counselor, like at least that is the least, which is very compulsory once every semester. So I get to like talk about my career with a counselor, talk about what do you want to do, what maybe for example now I'm in my final year. We are looking into what do I want to do after this. Do I want to work or I want to like go for a doctorate degree? And they are always open to where they provide resources for you. Maybe you if you want to write, let's say for example, you're applying for a job. I've done that before. I was applying for an internship. You can write your cover letter, you send it to the career counselor, they help you like check it to help you proofread it, to help you edit it, give you their like suggestions around how you can improve your writing and all those things. Yeah. So I think it's a very good scholarship.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. So you've mentioned three things that the MasterCard Foundation Scholar gives you, right? So it says you mentioned the first thing you mentioned was it allows you to dream. Wow, I feel that is so profound, right? Dreaming beyond like the dreams that you could have not dreamt about, but because you've
Yeah.
been exposed to like this vast opportunity, you can then see them and know that if this person can achieve it, you too can also achieve it. That's
Yes.
wonderful. And again, you mentioned people, right? It shows you people that are doing well, people that are doing amazing things, even with limited resources, right? Even they could be worse than you, but still they've done something with them for themselves. That's interesting. And I believe the third thing you mentioned is um I like people that I think you said
Yeah.
advisors,
Yeah. The resources.
the
Yeah.
resources. Yes, yes. Wow, thank you for sharing that. That makes me more eager to like want to like apply and get scholarship.
Yes, you should apply. You should apply. We want everyone, and that is also one thing about Mastercard. They want everyone. Just be you. That
Yeah,
is, if you're applying for Mastercard Foundation Scholarship and you tell me that, oh, what should I do differently? I'll say just be you. They just want to see you. Um, because they want to see. I think the most important thing about it is that they want to see the prospect for success. So you don't need to have done a lot of things. I feel like maybe it's something we'll still talk about. Maybe I don't know whether
yeah,
I'm asking some question, answering some question, but if you're applying, for example, you see MasterCard have like some focal areas. They say academic excellence, um, maybe disadvantaged background or economic disadvantage, maybe leadership experience, community service or volunteering. So So maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, one of the applicants messaged me that leadership experience. I don't have any leadership experience. I said, okay, so now let me explain to you. MasterCard Foundation is not about, maybe for example, you are the SUG president of your school. You don't need to be the SUG president of your school, or you are the class captain of your. No. When I get into the program, I begin to understand more. It is more than the position you actually held. You understand? It's about the initiative, how you inspire people. For example, what we are doing, for example, now you are taking a leadership role, for example, now you understand, because
Yeah.
you what you are doing is helping others. In a way, it's helping me as well. You understand? So that is leadership. So don't think maybe, oh, I'm not the general secretary when I was in school. Hey, what will I do? You understand? The volunteering aspect, the community service, everything you've done relating to maybe even the national service. We go to CDS, we did public
Yeah.
orientation, then that is you've contributed to your community. What you are doing right now, I'm sure in the industry that you are, the tech industry, I'm sure you do maybe some mentorship, some these things, those are what they want to see. Now, in those, they kind of look into that, and the way you tell your story, they see that, okay, this is where this person is coming from. There is really prospect for success. This is a potential, even though there's little. Now, with what I mentioned before, they notice something now that there's little resources, and you are doing all these things. It means if there's now imagine there's more resources, you can do better than this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. You've definitely answered some of my questions that I have in mind, right? So thank you. So I've while going through your LinkedIn profile, right, I noticed like some key like some stepping stones, right? So I noticed you went to science school, right? Also due
Yeah.
to the MasterCard scholarship, right? And also, yeah, I believe science school, and I think there's also one Aspire Institute, right? And I've seen that it seems I think you've also mentioned it. You are big on leadership, right? And you're also big on like I believe you're also getting into politics, a bit policy making.
Yeah.
Are you in any way interested in politics? Let me just ask that.
Yes, I am. I mentioned before, I'm really very interested in politics. Well,
Okay.
these days, because of what is happening in our country, I really don't know. I feel sad, feel down, especially with the way, when I see the way, what I do know before about politics, you understand, when I was like in a way active involved in it, and with my exposure now, I kind of feel very bad that we are in that situation, you understand. But
Yeah.
definitely I'm very interested in it. Like I mentioned before to you that I've been involved in local politics before for a short period of time, actually. Maybe something around 2 to 3 years or something. In fact, I do attend local meetings of politics before. Like I do attend board meetings, zones meetings, stuff like that. Or you get this at the end of it, you see that yeah, there are a lot of youths involved in it. But
Okay.
then with exposure, you get to see that maybe they are in it in the wrong way. And also even the one that are into it the right way, the system is limiting them to ensure that they are not up there
Hmm.
in a way and the idea does not count. But outside of that, generally, I've always like love leadership. I feel like even during our short time together, you should even notice that when you were serving. So it's maybe when I sit, we just need a bit of coordination. Okay, let me step up to like coordinate. Yeah. So oftentimes as well, I like to step back to say, even like in the leadership role, like I do step back, especially if I see like very active let's say for example, very active followers, for example, I like to step
Yeah.
down to say, okay, let them also take the stage and like do stuff because I also feel like at the end of it all, the one of the most important thing for a leader is for you to be able to also identify potential leaders and help them succeed as well. So, but in the Nigeria space, in a way, for our politicians, if I say someone that motivates me a bit, not a bit, that motivates me, let me say, in all our politicians should be my state governor actually, because maybe because I witnessed the election process before he became the governor, and key things I learned from him actually were one of the things is communication. That is one thing about him. It might not be the best thing, you understand,
Yeah,
but like with empathy, know how to treat people with empathy. So I think that is one thing that's also very important for leaders. You need to know how to communicate to people. We need to have empathy as well. Especially, in such position, there is nothing you want to do that everybody will 100% be okay with.
yeah,
Definitely, who like what you do. Not like you're also doing everything right. So you understand.
yes.
That's something you don't do right as well. But when you have empathy, you can communicate, you listen, yeah, and you show respect to people. Yeah. Eh,
Yeah.
eh,
Do you mind mentioning the state governor's name?
Governor Seyi Makinde. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. That communication
I know.
is a big deal, oh, very big
Yeah.
deal. Right. Without communication, then there will not be understanding actually. Yes.
Yeah. And you get
So
to assume.
sorry, come
I
again,
mean,
please.
yes, I mean, without communication, people start to assume a lot of things.
Yeah.
You or what you assume, the other person assume as well. So yeah, issues start happening.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. And I even know that during our NYC, I know you took on one of the leadership position at the NYC, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh,
So I believe you did, right?
I tried to.
Okay, you tried. Okay,
uh,
okay, okay. All right. Okay, but I also want to dwell on that because I feel it's very important for like young ones. Like I'm looking at myself, for example, right? For some reason, I had little or no interest in like leading um from a young age, right? Maybe because of some trauma or some things, right? But I was not I did not always see myself like in that leadership position, right? From secondary school. But even in secondary school, I was given library prefect. I was like, I don't know what they saw. It's not as if I always read book. Oh. Why am I the library prefect? Yeah, so that was something interesting. But when I got to university, right, I did not really push myself to like take on any leadership position. Even in my class, I was just there, right? Even though I graduated with first class, and we were only four students that graduated with first class across my set, right? But and again, I noticed. If you notice, I said I got 4.50. So like, I was just at the barest minimum. So I want you to talk about like what sparked that political interest in you, right? Because I feel it's something that we need. We need genuine leaders. We need leaders that care, like you said, that would have empathy, right? Because in the state of things now, especially here in Nigeria, right, if we don't have the right leaders, then the country will not grow, right? So I want you to still talk on what sparks that interest in like policy and leadership in you.
so I think it kind of at a very quite formative age, maybe when I was in, I think, secondary or primary school. I'm not really sure. Again, I feel like it's a bit of environment and people at the same time. So I remember I love to listen to Fela a lot. So
Okay.
if you listen to Fela, you know definitely you get to sit down and think that if Fela is singing about stuff like this in the early 90s, you understand? And now we are in the 20s, 21st
Yeah.
century, and it's still like almost similar or even like not even better in any way, you understand? Like what you mentioned, like in the 90s, let's say 1980 something, you are still like witnessing stuff like that. You get to wonder what is going on.
Mm.
You understand what I'm saying? So And on another part of it was outside of like the music, it inspired me a lot. I do listen to, I feel like there are few of his music that I've not maybe at one time or the other listened to before. Then also, I politics. My dad watch NTA. Parents now they do watch a lot of NTA, so you see
Yeah.
a lot of the thing. I feel like those it in a way they kind of accumulate together. And lastly, I got to when I started, I ran doing my national diploma. I used to read a lot of till like even till date. If I see an interesting, but now not really again. But then I used to read a lot about Nigerian history. So it kind of give me an idea of the military era, independence, and after independence, how they do politics, what was going on. So those kind of things kind like made me feel in love that okay, politics is actually something good, and you see your parents also talk about it. So I remember, for example, during the first term of President Buhari, may so rest in peace. I know how furious my dad is that why do people want to vote for Buhari? We are all alive when this man was the what
Military something.
it what so even though I'm not up to age to vote then, but I was in my mind, I understand and I was reading books then because I was doing my diploma then. I understand that why would you want to vote for this person actually in the real sense when someone democracy is also in a way sluggish. Now you have an absolute power as a military leader and like I see my parent, I see their expression, I see what I read in the book. I was like, how would they tell me that they've changed someone completely to the opposite of what he was? You get then. So in a way, I feel like just to like contribute to, and I think I also like talking somehow. I just the first active I was also the labor prefect during my secondary school, but public secondary school, I'm very
Yeah.
small. Even then, my junior can actually even order me to do something, and I'm very gentle. Those kind of where you have students that are even doing street fights. So
Yeah.
I I, I have little experience of being really active then. But during my diploma, I took part in leadership role. I was the uh, public relation officer for our student association in my department, and I work closely with our presidents then in a way. So from there, I started kind of seeing that. Okay, but it was from that point that I actually knew that I feel like for leaders, communication is number one for everything. Presently, right now, I'm the scholar representative for the MasterCard Foundation scholar in my school. So that is one thing I am kind of big on, communicate to people. So, I'm not 100% efficient in that as well, you understand? But
Yeah.
just like, let just try to communicate to people. So from my national diploma, I from then I started to move towards it through that way. During my university days, funny enough, I remember so because someone also someone new in my school is like one of like the very big people that people know in my school then I was really involved in politics. New in the way that because when I was in my university, I was like entering in a way into the local politics of my state then, but I was in another state and I
Okay.
think he gets to know about that. So it was like he will call me that Lord, look, come and do something now. You understand? Come and get involved. I'm like, I'm not interested in this.
Okay.
I'm, it's, I'm above this now. You understand? So I be like, well, no problem. You want to do something, I don't worry. I'll support you. When I hear about what you want to do, I'll support you fine. But I don't really want to get involved directly because as I did, like I said, in my state, I was already like involved with the local politics. I was seeing, so then not like I don't want to do the student leadership as well because later on
Okay.
I was the welfare director in my department as well for the association. But I was like, I want to be involved in Nigerian politics itself. You understand? Like I was really deeply like into it, honestly. I was deeply into it. But I was able to gain a lot of experience actually from it, to see things from different side of it. And also, like I mentioned, that is one thing I say I learned a lot from Shane Markinde about communication, empathy. So I get to learn a lot of things around that. See the way he talks to people, how people get to love him. I see that show a lot of empathy, communicate to people, have respect for the people, even though you're a leader. Let them know that you don't know her. You understand? So
Yeah,
those are some. I remember when I was doing my manifesto when we want to have the election for the scholar rep here in my school. After I presented my plan, I told the scholars that, well, I have a beautiful plan, but I might not achieve them because at the end of the day, I'm just a student. I'm trying to be a leader. But if
yeah,
I say, "Okay, I have this idea and the program is not buying into it, there's nothing
that you
ultimately
can
that I
do.
only convince them. But if I convince them, I said, oh, so it is that way. I try to be like honest with them, you understand?
Yeah,
And another part of it about leadership that I also get to learn along the way was that you see, when you are not in that position, you see something entirely different from when you get into it. And it's something I've realized also for Nigerian leaders. You understand that I get to learn about our politician. I'll cite another example for you. I get to know that you see our leaders, before they get there, most of the promise they made is not as if they don't wish to achieve them. But it was because when you get into the room, you see an entire different situation from what you assume or what you imagine from outside. Maybe before you get there, you think you have all the absolute power. Then you get in, you start saying cabals, you be like, what is all this? Before you get there, maybe you are saying, oh, Nigeria have 50 trillion. You get there, you see that, where is the money? You see, I'm not saying that there's no money in, so I'm just citing an example that, yeah, is something different entirely before you get into power from what you're saying when you get into power. So it's also difficult for you now to select people you want to work with. I feel like that is another difficult thing about leadership. But ultimately, for anybody watching this, it's actually good to take up leadership role. Like I mentioned before, you might not even actively be say have a particular position. So that is also one thing why some people actually do also recommend me at times when they are positions like that. Because when people say that humility, you are very down to earth, for example, you respect people, you know how to talk to people, you and also without having a role, for example, when there's things to do, you are upfront there to say, okay, I want to contribute to this thing. Not because you are getting paid for it, but at the end of the day, these things has to be done. Let me also contribute to this thing. So by getting actively involved in stuffs, even at times you might not even want to become the leader, and people will just say, no, it is you that we want because at least we see that you do things like effortless, um, willingly. That is the
yeah,
right word.
yeah. Thank you very much. You've really spoke on what it takes to be a leader, right? About two things stood out for me from the discussion. One, you mentioned your parents. Your parents were big on listening to news.
Yeah.
Maybe because my parents were not so they were not a news listener. Maybe that also played a role in me not being like having a lot of interest in politics and leadership. Yeah, but now I know I'm also learning. I'm learning to also step up right in positions where I can lead, rising up to the occasion and by God's grace, yeah, I'm working towards that. And I'm also learning history, right? There's a book I'm currently reading that is talking about history. I don't want to go much into it, but I've also seen that history, knowing about things in the past, knowing about even the affairs that are happening in your country is very crucial, right? So um yeah, and I believe every young one, you watching this show now, everyone should have a sense of what is going on in the country, right? Because I've been in situations where they ask me, "Who is the governor of this state?" I don't know. Even in my local community itself, I don't know some things. It's very bad, and and I'm not always happy when it happens, right? So it's one of the things that I know I'm actively trying to work on and get better at, right? So thank you very much, Lukman. Like
Yeah, you're
you, yes, you've taken us through your journey. You've talked about leadership. You've talked about politics. You've talked about nutrition and food science.
yeah,
I'm really grateful. Thank you for being the first amazing guest that I have on the show, the
you're
Learn With Me series season 2.
you're welcome.
All right. Okay,
Yes.
so before we end the show, I would like to ask one question, right? So what is that something that you are currently learning now? Right, aside from food and science, maybe aside of from what you've mentioned, something that you are actively learning.
Uh, do I have something I'm actively learning? Actually, I don't have right now, but I hope something. So I have like two kind of targets I was thinking that I can do this year is to, we mentioned one before in the DM to start reading back. Last year I have
Okay.
some books I want to read that. So I'm also okay. I can answer that apart from the reading. So I think one thing I'm actively learning right now, not like active like that, but I was like, I'm trying to pick up things from different places about it. It's investments, honestly.
Okay.
Investments is like maybe the last quarter of last year. I've always been I downloaded books about investments. I'm trying to know how to multiply money.
Yeah, that is very important too. Yeah.
I'm trying to know how to multiply money. But yes, I've been reading a lot about investment, particularly because I'm trying to learn more about not when we had about maybe 30-40% per month or something. All those all those frauds. No, I'm trying to learn about the real in investment, how to read the stock market, for example, so all those different kind of investment opportunity that at least to start thinking about the future that okay, how can I start securing my future from now? So I'm like I'm actively I think I should have spent like 6 months into it. I'm trying to learn different things. Last week, I was trying to know more about how to read financial statements of companies, just to know about maybe to see, okay, this is a prospect. I can, if I have the money, even with the little I have right now, also that I can do something. And also when I have more, but with the little I know, at least, and from previous experience, now I know that if someone tell me that 50% in a year, I'll not go there.
That is a red flag. All right. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Lukman. Yeah, investment is also something I'm actively learning, right? Something I'm actively also doing and practicing, right? So by God's grace I've been able to invest in like stocks and real estate and all of that, right? But yes, thank you for sharing that. Right.
Well, yeah,
So
you about the real estate, particularly. I've been looking. I'm actually also kind of okay. So now I'm more into like the stock market as well to study the stock market, both in the US and Nigeria. Majorly Nigeria actually, because I have limited fund. I'm not really because of the charges and conversion rate stuff. I'm really not looking into the US market, but majorly the Nigeria market. I'm looking into different capital market instruments like the commercial papers, trying to understand how it works, the money market, fixed income, stuff like that. I'm really like go into it. The real estate is what I've been also been saying on YouTube, but I have my fear, you understand? Especially for in I don't know, maybe it's the same like we know you are even in Lagos, it should be the same. In the case of property, they don't allocate for you on time or buying a property 2 years after 1 year, or even a month after someone said they sell it for them. So I don't like trouble, you understand? I'm a gent.
stand you. So I think it boils down to like the real estate like company that we are using, right? So I recommend Go Realty and Homes. We can private chat, we can privately talk about this, right? But Go Realty and Homes by Coach Oluboye Paul, you can, I would send you more information later, right? So I believe if you put your money with them into real estate, they will do you good, right? You don't have to bother about allocation and all those things. I'm sure all the documents and everything you would need would be secure with there, right? So I can give further details on that. All right. Yeah,
All right.
Lukman, thank you once again. I appreciate you coming on this show, right? And yeah, so that would be the end of today's episode. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. Kindly subscribe to this channel if you've not. Okay, bye bye then.